Together, general-purpose AI models and purpose-built language tools give you flexible and powerful options for text analysis in Microsoft Foundry. Let's look at 2 ways to analyze text with client applications. One way is using the Azure OpenAI API to interact with general-purpose models. And another way is using the Azure Language SDK to interact with Azure Language Foundry tools. A client application is to connect to an Azure service or model. Your application uses an API with a set of rules for how software communicates. Let's create a client application that interacts with a general-purpose model using the Azure OpenAI API. You can use the Azure OpenAI API to interact with the deployed Microsoft Foundry model. We'll use the OpenAI API Python library, or SDK. Let's see how we can use the SDK to build an app that analyzes text. Our application contains necessary packages. Then we load our environment variables, including the Azure OpenAI endpoint, our Foundry project key, and the model's deployment name. The variables are loaded from the .env file. We use the endpoint and key to create an authenticated client object. An authenticated client object in Python is a service-specific object that can securely make authorized API calls. We use the client's methods to call functions. In this case, we call the responses function and use it to interact with our deployed model. In Seattle on Saturday, the mushroom risotto was perfectly prepared and really tasty. Then we can display the result Azure Language SDK to build a lightweight client app that is abstraction. The Azure Language SDK is a better fit. Like in the previous code example, we import our packages and environment variables. Then we use the service endpoint and key from our Foundry resource to create an authenticated client object. Once the client is created, we can call its methods to run with language and pass in text. To identify sensitive information, we can call recognize PII entities. Then we can print the results of the analyses.